Hello Capricorn, and welcome back to the channel. I'm Jen with Bohemian Path Tarot, and it is time for November readings. This month we've got the Star Maiden Tarot, which is a newish deck. It's a new deck for me, that's for sure, and it's gorgeous. Here is a foreshadowing: Six of Swords, the Fool, random pulls. This is not your reading. Four of Wands. It's a gorgeous deck. And let me just remind you that it's a general reading for a variety of Capricorns, so it's not quite the same as a one-to-one reading. It might really resonate with you. It might resonate a little bit. It might resonate a little later in the month, or one of your other placements might resonate a little stronger. So be sure to check out the videos for your sun sign, your rising sign, and your moon sign if you know those placements. And let me just mention, the cards do not compel. So you still have your free will. If you do not like the messages, you're not obliged to follow the advice inherent. You are free to accept the messages. I offer them with love and respect. But if it doesn't resonate with you, please feel free to just leave what does not resonate for another Capricorn and move on with all my best wishes. I'm going to go ahead and give the deck a really good shuffle for you. And if you've been here before, you know that I fast forward over the shuffling part just because I don't like to chit-chat over the shuffling part. I like to really focus for you. So I will catch up with you when I am ready to lay out the cards, okay? See you in just a bit. Okay, Capricorn, let's see what we've got. Eight of Cups, Ace of Cups, Ten of Pentacles, and the Ace of Swords. Interesting. That's two aces. So some fresh starts are on deck for November, which is interesting. Usually November, fall is kind of a time for winding down, closing things out, but you've got a couple new chapters starting up. For those of you who have been here before, you may know that I typically use this card as kind of the central focus or the main theme for this reading. It's not the only thing that's going to happen to you in November, but the main theme for this particular reading is this Ace of Swords. Aces are new beginnings, new cycles, new chapters, and swords are the area of communication, of philosophies, of ideas, of contracts, commitments. It's how we communicate ourselves, how we talk about our ideas, talk about our philosophies, share how we think about ourselves, how we think about our place in the world. It typically indicates, a kind of a fresh start in terms of how we share our thoughts, our ideas, our concept of ourself, our concept of our place in the world. So this can show up in terms of launching a new social media site platform, maybe a new TikTok YouTube channel, something like that, a place to share your thoughts. It could be being more serious about your social media stance if it's come to your sort of more conscious awareness that in order to compete in your line of business that you need to have a more sort of regular social media presence. And for those of us of a certain age who did not grow up with social media or needing social media to compete, there's a learning curve, right? So it could be a phase where, or a chapter where, making a commitment to growing your social media presence, or really committing to your brand, that sort of thing. It could be something like that. For some Capricorn, it could be, some Capricorns, it could be a little more old school. This could be a phase where you start writing a book. I'm not sure if that November writing challenge is still a thing that happens, but this could be a phase where you actually work on your first novel, or writing in that way and sharing your kind of ideas, or literally communicating through a literary work. That's how another way this could show up. For a few of you, this could be something along the lines of a contract, where you have to make a commitment to a job, or like a company or another person, starting a business in some way where you're sort of intellectual property. You make a commitment where your ideas are a part of the contract. But I think that's going to be specific only to a very, very few of you. But you'll know how this is going to show up for you, Capricorn. Let's look at these other cards and how they play into this idea of communication and sharing your sort of philosophies, or sharing your ideas, or sharing your concept of yourself with the world at large. The first card we have here is the Eight of Cups, and that's typically a card of walking away from something. I typically see the Eight of Cups come up when you realize it's time to move on from a job or from a relationship. It's usually kind of a breakup situation, when you know something has run its course, when something in your life is no longer serving you, it's no longer a good fit. And it's usually when it's past the point of, it's something that one time served you, that one time it was a good fit, but now it's no longer serving you. Like in the example of the job, maybe something that once paid well and was exciting, and the duties you performed were fun, or at least kind of fit in with your skill set. Then maybe perhaps your supervisor changed, and they changed your role, or your hours were cut, or whatever. Or now you're on a team with people you don't like, or they, and now it no longer serves you. Or you've just it's become kind of dead end, and the role is no longer challenging, and you're ready to move on or advance or something, and there's just not a position to evolve at the company you're at, and it's just time to move to something bigger and better. Or maybe it's even time to retire or slow down, or the hours you're working don't let you write the great American novel, or whatever it is. It could be the sort of thing that a relationship has just kind of hit a plateau, or You realize the person you're with doesn't spark the same sparks, or isn't the person they were when you started, or your own hobbies have changed, or whatever it is. You get the idea, right? Usually with the Eight of Cups, oh, let me say this too. Sometimes it's the sort of thing where you realize you need to move towards something. The Eight of Cups can also come up if you've been single for a while, like maybe you went through a bad divorce and you just didn't feel like dating at all. And then you realize, wow, I've been really single for a while. Maybe it's time for me to get back out there in the dating world. The Eight of Cups can come up and say, you know what? It's time for me to get on some dating apps, to tell my friends and family members I'm looking, and maybe somebody wants to fix me up, or try some speed dating events, something like that. Maybe be proactive about maybe finding someone, just seeing what it's like out there. It can come up from like, I'm going to move away from being a hermit and move towards maybe trying to make a connection and just see what happens. The Eight of Cups can work in that scenario too. So it's moving away from something that is no longer a good fit for you and making a concerted effort to move towards something. It's taking those steps to moving towards something that is more fulfilling for you, whether it be a job or a relationship. And sometimes it could be a living situation if, you have toxic roommates, or you don't have any roommates, or whatever the situation is. You get the idea. And speaking of relationships, moving towards a relationship, we have the Ace of Cups here, which is a good sign if you are single and looking, or poly and looking, or whatever your situation is. Or if you've been estranged from your siblings, or if you've just been kind of working too hard and haven't made time for your bowling league, or your high school buddies, or whatever it is. The Ace of Cups signals, it's another one of those kind of new beginnings or new chapter cards, right? It signals a time when you are supported if you want to make a change, if you want a new chapter in terms of your relationships. And certainly if you want to start dating again, that's well supported, that any effort you make in this area is amplified. Let's talk about that for a minute, because there are times in our lives when sometimes we kind of try to make steps, or try to make a thing happen, and things don't quite go to plan, and we kind of, it feels like we don't have kind of the luck, or we kind of don't have the green light from the universe, or from God, or from whatever. But and that's when the tarot is kind of handy, right? We can see where the green lights are. We can see where the seasons are for planting which seeds. And here in your, or let's call this our garden, right? So here, the good timing in your garden, or the place to plant seeds in this reading here, we have relationships, and we have like ideas and communications. That's where we've got the support, especially in your reading. Moving on from things that don't work, moving towards relationships and strengthening ties with other human beings, speaking your truth and communicating who you are. That's where we've got the green lights in your reading, okay? So that doesn't guarantee necessarily like immediately you meet the one true love of your life and you'll be married by the end of, November. I'm not saying that necessarily anyone expects that, but this is a good time to start a new chapter and to start planting those seeds and to start strengthening those bonds, especially for folks who, like I said, may be estranged from family members. for any folks that may be out of practice from dating or relationships, for people who want to start a new chapter, maybe from, sometimes we can be in an established relationship where we've kind of stopped having date night and things have gotten a little stagnant, and it might be time to just get back into practicing romance or something. This is also a good time to, strengthen those kinds of muscles and start a new chapter there with that kind of thing too. So, but this is all supported. So when we see aces, new chapters, it doesn't mean starting over or trading in an established relationship, but it can mean efforts that we make in these areas are supported and amplified, and it's a good time to plant seeds in these areas, because that's where the stuff is fertile, so that the effort that we put in there, the seeds that we plant, and the nurturing, the watering, the weeding of the soil, and all those sorts of gardening metaphors, right? They're well supported here. I think that makes sense, right? Okay, so get on those dating apps if you're into that. Call your sister that you're estranged from, if that's how that works for you, or sign up for that bowling league if you've been wanting to just be in touch with other humans and have something to do on a Thursday night or whatever it is. That's a thing that's supported with this ace. Okay, that's enough of that. Finally, we have the Ten of Pentacles. I love this version of the Ten of Pentacles. Let's have a closer look at this. There we go. Okay. See? A gorgeous version of the Ten of Pentacles. The grandsire there is kind of protecting the younger generations with his cloak there. And there's always the element of generations with the Ten of Pentacles. But I was just going to say that tens are also about endings that lead to new beginnings. So we have new beginning, walking away from something that isn't working, and sort of ending that leads to new beginning, or kind of generational endings and beginnings. One thing that happens with the Ten of Pentacles that is a kind of a unique thing, and maybe specific to some Capricorns, but might not be happening for all Capricorns, is this sense of inheritance, or how it may be happening is going to be different for different Capricorns, right? So some Capricorns might be receiving some kind of specific inheritance. This could be literally like one generation hands another one a family home or family property or a family business. There could be an inheritance like that, a family car, and that could be impacting something else here, something that you're walking away from, or some way that you're how you're communicating who you are in the world based on this kind of family lineage story or inheritance. And if so, I'd love to hear about that. That sounds fascinating to me. There could also be an inheritance that is affecting your sense of identity, or the story you tell the world about yourself. That is not so much about an object or a thing or a resource, but more like a quality. So I happen to have inherited red hair from, kind of my lineage. And there are also some qualities from my family that are not so fun to talk about that I inherited, that are more challenging, that maybe sound more like therapy and that I won't discuss here. But there could be something that you're dealing with in that sort of way, that some family gifts and some family stuff that you're inheriting, that are both pride, that bestow pride, and also a sort of lineage piece that you're carrying through, is that has something to do with the story that you're telling. And it could be, for some of you, if you're literally writing a story, for those of you, doing that old school writing, it could very well be that this family piece, the inheritance, the lineage, could be a rich source of information for this story, or a rich resource for your storytelling. I would be remiss if I didn't actually point out that sometimes an inheritance is literally like a will, or a literal inheritance that is received from someone else's passing. And if someone is going through that, you have my condolences and my support and my love, and I'm so sorry you're going through that. But the main feeling of this reading is really actually rather positive, despite the fact that this is walking away from something. It is a positive. There's a sense of a conscious choice of moving towards something better. And this actually has a positive feeling, so this doesn't feel like a tragedy here to me. The overall sense of this reading is actually that you've gained something from this family inheritance. You've gained something from whatever this kind of transition period is. These new chapters are a conscious sort of movement, progression, like this realization that maybe you're even sort of beating the New Year's rush towards setting, turning a new page, and starting these new chapters ahead of other folks. And this is just, it's time to make this move, whatever this is. So I hope this is helpful to you. I see really positive growth. And also, I have to say this too. I'm not sure if this is for everybody, but there is some, with this particular card, by making this this sort of branding piece, in the way that you are telling a new story about yourself, or sort of branding yourself, it does mean making some definitions that will require you to, how can we gently put this, be discerning. There's some things you're going to have to cut out of your life, and that kind of, I guess, goes along with this. But there's some discernment pieces that have to happen here. So with this sort of rebranding, and maybe another way to say this is some editing that has to happen. Maybe November is as much about editing as you start these kind of new chapters, or this kind of new book that you're writing for yourself. And the thing about editing is, even if you have a lot of really great ideas, sometimes with editing a book is, some really great ideas have to be cut out for the benefit of a clear, crisp story. That's true with branding too. Branding is all about being really discerning and simple. So there's that food for thought. Says the tarot reader who just did a, 30-minute reading. I don't know. This was a long one. But in any case, I hope that was helpful, Capricorn. I hope there's something useful in there for you, or fun at least, or food for thought, probably. In any case, thank you so much for dropping by. If you feel like sharing any thoughts about the project that you're working on, or your inheritance, I'd love to hear about it in the comments below. In any case, take good care of yourself. Until next time, bye for now.